part 2 of Welcome to Fake News Canada. And good morning to all of you. Yesterday was a little bit crazy. I was talking about not on record. I'm going to do that tonight. I'll let you know when the link is up if you want to watch it. It probably will be quite good because Joseph was not a supporter of the convoy. Yet, at the same time, he became my lawyer to connect with the police. I needed a criminal lawyer to negotiate because I trying to make sure I didn't get arrested because it was a little bit dicey. We didn't know if I was going to get arrested or not. So Joseph, you have this lawyer he seemed to be really against the convoy. We're going to talk about it tonight, I'm sure, on the podcast, and hopefully I'll be able to convert him. And I've already sent him a copy of this wonderful book. www.honkingforfreedom.com. So he's going to be a good experiment for me. Him and his former partner, who's a really nice guy, very lefty, but really, really thoughtful, pro-free speech, but everything else is lefty. And I really love him. I really like him. So even though I disagree with, I think, 100% of his political views, so I'm going to work on them with this and telling the story, and maybe we'll be able to convert them, right? And make them realize that, hey, freedom's kind of important. Introducing Canada's version of martial law to remove some illegally parked trucks, probably not a good way to run a country. And as I said in the interview yesterday, they're so incompetent, they're dangerous. So talk about that. Ryan, the feds must be watching. You think CSIS turned me off? From what I know, they have nowhere near the competency level to do that. So I'm not terribly worried. It is what it is. Megan, good morning. And Tom, thanks for the heads up, Tom. So a video was put out from Pierre Poilievre's TikTok account, so I thought it was. Looked legit. And just kind of the narrative around it was pretty much legit, but it really made Tamara Leach look silly because Tamara, I don't know who prepped her for her bail hearings, but I want to find that person and strangle them. And so she because she wasn't properly prepped, she said some things that were just not accurate. Anyways, I don't want to rehash it. But anyways, they put it into a video, and it was very convincing. I saw it when I was in the truck, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. But it turns out it was fake. So my apologies to Pierre Poilievre in this respect. We all get, taken by a little bit of fake accounts and fake bot accounts. It happens to all of us once in a while. I try my best, but that was an example. And Tom is the one who alerted me. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. So yesterday I started with an interview on The Hill. The Hill is called The Hill Times, I think. They're from the U.S. Historically very, very left-wing media. And so why did I do that? Because, first, I think we have a lot that we can offer in terms of Freedom Convoy. And this sort of, is it becoming a movement? I don't know. But there's a lot to offer them in this story about being peaceful and being loving to one another and what happens when we all come together. And that's all this sort of stuff that they like to talk about. And so I went on The Hill, and I also wanted to test the difference of fake news in the United States versus Canada. And this was part of my strategy during communications during the convoy, was I knew we have Canadian fake news, which is all bought off, but the American news is not. So much like when you see reporting on Canada in, I don't know, the United Kingdom, you'll find things that are more or less factual, right? There's a little bit of narrative, but it's manageable, right? Same for the United States. And that seems to be the trend, that the news of the jurisdiction is completely fake. But if you go outside of jurisdiction, then they'll report on it somewhat honestly. And that was part of the reason. It was one of the many, many reasons I focused on U.S. media. You can ask Tom Marazzo about that, Mr. Spokesperson. Idiot. Anyways, so the I did this interview with the Hill. It went really well, and they seem to be strong supporters. I know one of the person was very much a supporter because I had spoken with her during the convoy and have gotten to know her a little bit. And wow, the people who watch the Hill, it's shocking the type of people who have reached out to me since that interview. It was so I encourage you to go watch it. If you go to the Hill on YouTube, you'll see my interview from yesterday. I put it up. I put it up somewhere. And you know, it's interesting that the United States still has, like, everybody talks about CNBC or CNN or whatever. It because the market is so large there. There really are a lot of journalists that still have credibility, who are working in the industry. And I'll give you an example. So Matt Taibbi, who had been working with Elon Musk on releasing all the documents from Twitter, which the legacy media ignored, by the way. Like, the New York Times didn't even report on it and all that sort of stuff. But here's a guy who's he's clearly on the, if we're going to use the left-wing, right-wing divide, which I just hate that, but he's clearly on the left or the center left. But, you know, he'll throw punches in all directions, into his camp as well as on the... So I think there's always a little bit of a bias, but I think it's a reasonable bias with him, and you know where he's coming from, right? So you do have that. And that, I think, is what... that at least was my experience with the Hill in the past. Yesterday. Now, I've had issues with them in the past, but I know there have been some changes, or maybe those are just individual op-eds from people that were invited to report. Or to draft something for the Hill Times. But anyways, good experience yesterday. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy the interview. Tom says, cheers, you have your anti-fake news coffee, brother. I hope you have a wonderful day. I have to run, but want to hear some more. All right, brother. Well, you can watch it later on. There's a good thing about having archival footage online. You can watch it whenever you want. Betty White, oh my God. I can't with Tom Morasso, the audacity of him telling people on his website that he was the main spokesperson. Is that what he's doing? Whatever. Whatever. Compulsive liars are going to be compulsive liars, and that's it. That's what it is. What's it called? Tao says, he has a website. Claiming he was the main spokesperson is a strategy right out of the Pat King playbook. Tao, you're brilliant, brother. You know, that's very, very cute. Anyways, so I did the Hill yesterday and then got just flooded with just requests and all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be a pretty busy couple weeks for me, that's for sure. I'm not going to be getting much sleep. But the previous night, I did an interview and kind of it's not local, it's national in Canada. But I did an interview for the Canadian Jewish News, okay? Now, this is funny. So the article went up yesterday morning, and good morning, Sonia. It's good to see you, sweetheart. The article went up yesterday morning, and it was posted to all over. It's posted to Facebook. You know, there's still some people who use it, and I guess I'm kind of using it right now, although barely. And it was an hour and 20-minute long interview. And so clearly there were people in that community that bought into the fake news media, which is no surprise. That's kind of how that community operates. Everybody kind of focuses on work or in school, whatever. It's just kind of like that's the culture I grew up around, right? And so news is kind of like, okay, in passing, what's happening? Give me the turn on the news for a half hour, get a basic sense of what's going on in the world, and then kind of move on to other stuff that, we work on. So usually work, career is very important. And so the article went up, and I think it was positive, I guess. I mean, it was just factual. So for me, if it's factual, it's positive, right? And so these people who bought into the fake news narrative, which was, that community was I don't know, very difficult for us during the convoy, even though we had a whole bunch of them supporting us. Like during Pastor Hildebrand's service on Sunday mornings, like it was, it was a Christian service. But people from all religious backgrounds and religious groups came to attend because at the end of the day, they're all people of faith, right? And you do what you can during the convoy. Yeah, okay, you'll have, a pastor versus having somebody who's a reverend or a rabbi or whatever. But it is what it is. And they're all, their common denominator is their belief in faith, despite the differences. So, I can see from the stage the different religious groups mixed amongst all the crowd, and it was really quite beautiful. So these people who read the Canadian Jewish News and had been watching the convoy, the fake news media coverage of the convoy, because we do live in fake news Canada, because all our news is fake. How do you think they responded? What do you think they responded to me being interviewed by the Canadian Jewish News as the spokesperson for the convoy and explaining everything in its full context and answering all their questions? Well, of course, they called me a Nazi. It was so good. Some guys putting up Nazi pictures and this and that. It was absolutely brilliant. If there is no greater indication of cognitive dissonance than that, right? People have bought into a framing of the world and how the world operates. And then there comes Dichter, pulling the rug out from underneath them and saying, oh, no, the reality is the exact opposite of what you've been taught almost a year now. And you think they're going to admit that they're wrong? Of course not. They're going to attack me. When people are given information, facts, whatever you want to call it, and they start attacking the person, well, there's your cognitive dissonance, right? Scott Adams talks about this. The guy, it's got a podcast. The guy really kind of coined this whole cognitive dissonance framing, and who really kind of developed this space in psychology. But anyways, it's kind of a well-known phenomenon that people are starting to understand, and that's what it was. And I thought it was absolutely hysterical. Then, so that was like halfway through. Oh, wait, claim me, all right, whatever. Okay. So then, I'm in the truck, and what do I see? A whole bunch of people start tagging me on Twitter and whatever. I see the CTV, Fake News CTV, and the Globe and Smell is what I call the other publication. So we got to go back to kind of understand this phenomenon. So I got to kind of lay it out for you. Maybe a month ago, a month ago, CTV ran an online poll. And CTV, that was my stalker, Punchy McGregor, in front of my hotel room that I wouldn't let in. And Dirty Smear Merchant, Punchy McGregor. He's the one that when he did that fake documentary about the Freedom Convoy, where it was all just emotive framing and nothing substantive because there was no journalism in that. And, we did that drinking party. That was Punchy McGregor. He's from CTV. All right. So CTV ran a poll a few weeks ago, month ago, whatever it was, online. And they were asking people, was Justin Trudeau, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something to the effect of, do you support Justin Trudeau invoking the Emergency Measures Act on the truckers? Okay? And it started off around 60 some odd % were against Justin Trudeau invoking the Emergencies Act, and it got up to like 79% of people were against invoking the Emergency Measures Act when I saw it. And it was so overwhelming in support of the truckers that people started taunting and making fun of. Hold on. YouTube is buffering pretty bad. Oh, I don't know, dude. You can go to locals, or I can't. You know what? Hold on. Let me just clear off some RAM here. Maybe that's the problem because I have something here. This. And let me close. Yoink. And yoink. And another one, yoink. And I hope maybe that cleared it. Oh, let me shut OmniFocus. It takes a lot of bandwidth. And somebody left that open. That somebody would have been me. Okay. Maybe that will clear it up. I don't know, Tao. I had a bunch of stuff sitting in, because I remember I scrambled to get this together. Anyways, so in the CTV poll, they'd hit up to 79-point-something% support the truckers. And it got so bad that people online were taunting CTV and taking snapshots and posting it to the CTV account saying, didn't go how you thought it would, right? Like, it's just so many people doing that. It was hysterical. So it was overwhelming support for the trucker convoy from CTV's own audience. And this was not a Twitter poll, by the way. This was a poll on the CTV website. So you would click on the link. It would flip you over to the CTV website. You would answer, do you support the EMA or not? And that's where you could see also the totals and the data, whatever. All right. So that was about a month ago. This week, CTV ran a headline about that exact issue. Do you support the invocation of the Emergency Measures Act? That was the whole point of the article. And it was both CTV and Globe and Smell. And knowing how they work, they're all just carbon copying each other anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So what do you think the headline was? Do you think the headline was 79% of Canadians in our own poll said that they supported the Emergency Measures Act? Well, remember, 79% supported the truckers and opposed Trudeau's use of the Emergency Measures Act. Well, the CTV headline was, majority of Canadians favor Emergency Measures Act invocation, poll shows. It's the complete opposite. The complete opposite of what their own readers would tell them. The complete opposite. It was crazy. And apparently it was from Nanos, which, okay, well, that explains what it is. Lisa, the poll in the Globe and Mail by Angus Reid said that 60% supported the Emergency Act based on, and this is important, I was going to get to this, 1,070 people polled. How is that even accurate? And this is what I'm getting at. Thank you very much, Lisa. This is total horseshit, because when you clicked on the CTV poll when it was live, and they've taken it down, I don't remember the exact number. It was creeping up, if I remember correctly, close to 10,000 people were polled. And remember, I said it started at around 60 some odd percent. So the more people that voted, the more support there was for the trucker convoy. So they take just a snippet, a certain, I'm sure, a segment of the 1,000 people, and come up and say, well, there you go, they didn't support it. It is such garbage, this polling industry. This is why polling and lobbying and media are all working in conjunction with each other. Are they, collaborating? No, they're just going in the same direction, right? Which is to lie to you. They're just that is their job. Their job is to lie to you. That's why there's so many people from public relations or public relations backgrounds that work for these companies. If any of you who have, I know you have people who did PR in your families, the goal of a PR agent is to lie to people, right? Like that press secretary in the White House. She's doing PR. She's spinning a narrative every time. So that's what's happened to this industry. And these, and I'll give you like a personal anecdote. When I had my business on the university campus, we had obviously we had students coming in, but we also had certain faculties that would come in and do work with us. So every semester, certain faculties would be doing. Not only you would have the PhDs going through, because we would get them to package and put together their theses and all that sort of stuff, but you would also get certain university professors who had political contacts, political connections, that their faculty would be assigned something by the city or by the provincial government or whatever to conduct some research. We always hear this all the time. Well, according to university research on ABC topic, whatever it is, right? There's a political bent with all these people. And because I had to deal with it on a regular basis, which, okay, fine. It is what it is. But they would bring in these packages, and I would see, as we're putting the packages together, you read the cover, you read the back, you can't avoid it because you're just, you're setting it up in the fiery and all that sort of stuff, right? So while you're waiting for it to, you put up in the fire, waiting for 2-3 minutes for it to load, you can see it on the screen, you're just sitting there, I'm reading the cover a little bit, reading the back, just, nothing intrusive. And you would see that what they were doing, what the universities were doing, is they would put together these polls based on the most leading questions I've ever heard. And, I remember specifically with the Danforth bike lanes was one of them, and this is how it operated. So the university is tasked, or the faculty of, I think it was urban planning, if I'm not mistaken, the faculty or the professor was tasked with conducting a report on behalf of the city and the university on, the feasibility of bike lanes on Danforth, right? And then what they would do is they would assign to a project to the university students to say, all right, well, this is going to be our project for this semester or whatever it was. There usually be one big project per semester. They would assign and teach them how to do polls and all that stuff, but they would teach them how to do leading polls. Like some of the questions on these polls were just friggin' ridiculous. It was to the point of like, do you support bike lanes on Danforth or do you want children to die? Like that's the level of pseudo-intellectualism that was conducted in these polls from the university students and professors, right? And then the different classes would go out and they would, find random people on the street and try to get them to ask a question about, well, should we have bicycle lanes on Danforth, or do you want our communities to be in danger? Like that sort of stuff. I don't want the community to be in danger. Okay, fine. I think clearly they're just joke questions. Like it's not serious. But then what would happen? So each student group would put together all their data and put it on a spreadsheet and do a presentation and present it to the university professor. And they would always come up with a conclusion that, 73%, kind of like YouGov, right? 73% of residents support having bike lanes on Danforth. It's like, well, you only, like each group, because they're students, they're kids, right? How many people do you think they went up to? I mean, half of the time, they just made up the answers because they're university students. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, let's just make up a name and whatever. Not all of them did that, but a lot of them did that because I know, they'd come in to do their project, and in the middle, they're like, oh, we didn't do the thing. Okay, fine, let's just make up a few of them. It's no big deal, whatever. They put their own opinions in there, and then that would, taint the data, right? Because, again, you're having students that were really more concerned with going drinking the night before. That's what they really were. Semester conclusions that were completely inaccurate based on either a very, very small subset, a very small number of people polled, or they would just make up the answers because it's a project, they got to get it done because they got other projects they got to work at. I mean, whatever, they're students, don't blame them. And then the professor, who is classes, would take the data that all the various classes he assigned the project to. So I think most of them had, if I remember correctly, 4 classes per semester. And in each class there was maybe 10 groups. So 40 groups of students, of which each group of students would have polled 20 people. And that's all the data they had. And then the university professor would put it into a report and make it an official report and submit it to the city. And it would go to the City of Toronto City Council, because the City of Toronto and Ryerson University were doing this investigative project, the feasibility of bicycle lanes or whatever. It's like you're having students do it who are just making up the answers because they want to get to their next project. And so we would prepare those reports, and it would go down the chain, and it would be presented to the city. And the next thing you know, you'd see on the fake news in Canada that in the residents of Danforth, that 72% of residents support bicycle lanes on the Danforth. No, they don't. No, they don't. Like 40 people said that. Like, that's how ridiculous it is. And our fake news would just go, and one news agency would do it, and then the rest of them would copy, because they all need a story, like a local story. So they would say, oh, bicycle lanes, because they're all lefties anyways, right? Not that I'm opposed to bicycle lanes in certain, situations. But, and they would just kind of, they would feed off each other, and it would just be this echo chamber that would grow. And then the next thing you know, you would see on CP24 that City Council is considering bicycle lanes on Danforth because an overwhelming majority of residents of the Danforth are in support of bicycle lanes. That's how this system works. That's how this process works. There's, I don't know what the term for it is. I don't know if it's not ideological subversion, but it's some ideological process that's being utilized by people who have a particular political bent, and they're exploiting our universities and our university students to do that, and they work in conjunction with the media. So when I see that despite the fact that all evidence and all the polling, and that close to 10,000 people, if I remember correctly, said that they're in support of the truckers and oppose the government's invocation of the Emergency Measures Act, and then the media comes and runs a national story that's the complete opposite, who would expect anything else? Like, that's to be expected. They're so full of crap. It was, anyways. So there you go. That's kind of my anecdotal experience, and I saw it all the time. Like, I'm just giving you one example. All the time, anything that the university was involved in with the city, I'm like, I got to the point where, like, the guys who worked for me, I would just say, oh yeah, we got some more horse shit that we got to print this year, because it's just pure propaganda. But they would do it under the veil of, oh, this is university stuff. It's like, whatever. It's zero credibility. Anyways. Okay, Karen Fleischer, when I saw it was 96%. Okay, so Karen saw it at 96% of people that were clicking on CTV and going to their poll and filling it out indicated they were in support of the truckers. But hold on, let's go back to what was their headline? Majority of Canadians favor Emergency Measures Act invocation. Poll shows. Oh, everyone's so full of crap. It's so funny. Anyways, how are you? I hope everybody's having an awesome day. Brian, hey Benjamin, lost you for a second. I'm back. Well, thanks for being back, brother. I appreciate it. Oh, Sonia, the poll is still up. Their site 70% no. Sonia, can you do me a favor? Maybe on Twitter, can you just send me the link, because I want to have a little bit of fun with that. Just send it to me, and we'll take care of that. All right, so I didn't bring any comments here today because I have a really weird meeting in 20 minutes from now with some people in the United States. And I just want to make this clear, along with Elon Musk, I have never even contemplated suicide for a second. I will never suicide myself, no matter what. Doesn't matter. You can have a gun to my head. I'm not suiciding myself, and it is. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. But kind of that level of people that have been reaching out to me, which is very encouraging. It shows that there's a lot of appetite for the truth around this, and this beautiful moment. I know some of you may be getting tired of me sharing this, but I'm telling you, it's both an epic present and an epic troll for your friends on the other side, and it might just wake them up. I'll let you know what happens with the lawyers and some other friends I have. I do have some friends that are quite. I don't want to use the word liberal, because if you're liberal, you support freedom, right? They're confused. They're really confused about this issue, and they bought into the fake news, fake poll industry, all that sort of stuff. And I'm doing my best to help wake them up because they're friends, and I care about them, and I want them to know the truth. And I think we should all do the same. Anyways, okay. I got to run. I got to cut a little bit short today. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. You're the best. I'm sorry about the technical glitches in the beginning. If it's been buffering, I don't know what the problem is. I'll try to check out. Maybe it's my router or something like that. But I will be here again. Will I be here tomorrow? Because I got a bunch of... Tomorrow's like a crazy interview day. I'll try to start with a stream with you all. And just remember, the most important part, be good to people. Be good to strangers. Be good to your family. Appreciate your family. I'm going to call my folks today just to kind of make them feel a little bit better. And I will do the same. I hope you do the same for people in your lives. You know, I don't call my parents nearly enough just because I'm so busy all the time. And by the time I get around to wanting to call them, you know, the day has gone, and they're old people in Florida, so they're going to sleep at 6 o'clock. That's an exaggeration, but you get my point. So don't forget all those important people. That's why I put that picture on my Twitter from the truck of the sunset on the horizon, which was just, the picture doesn't do it justice. That was just, as I was coming down the hill into this flat plain right around in Massachusetts. It was just epic. I took a whole bunch of pictures of the sky last night. And it's kind of those things, like those little things that you appreciate, that make life amazing and worthwhile. Oh, and I put a tweet out yesterday in response. I wish I had it here. Where is it? Do I have it here? Oh, yeah, I think I do. I put a tweet out here yesterday, and the best part of it, you know what? I'm going to put this in here because this addresses a lot of what's going on in the world today. It is, let me see, it's a response to what I was talking about before, that I was being, you know, I did this interview in this publication called The Canadian Jewish News, and it was called a Nazi. It's so funny. Oh yeah, here's my tweet. It was, I took some snapshots of the lunatics on Facebook, and I said, and this is for maybe some people on the other side, it's hysterical watching the leftist Jews on Facebook call me a Nazi. So much for us being, quote, one cabal collaborating to dominate the world. Perhaps it's just another religion. Can someone tell Kanye? And I tagged Scott Adams, and Scott Adams retweeted it. And I'm that's great. That was amazing. It was so, he's pretty awesome. For those of you who don't watch it, I watch him. I've interacted with him a little bit. He's absolutely very cool, very bright. D2, good morning from Montague, PEI. I don't know if this has been discussed, but has anyone watched Unacceptable Views 2022? Yes, I have, and it's really frustrating. That's funded by the same people that were trying to sabotage the convoy, and you see a whole bunch of that, right? At least it seems to be. I mean, when you see Tom Marazzo there, the guy who was moving the trucks around so he could get easily kettled, and they make him a speaker, but you don't see me, you kind of know it is what it is. So I don't see it as being terribly credible. I mean, obviously there's some people who are telling their stories and moving there, but there was the 3 minutes that I watched it. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go again, because this is not the first attempt. They keep doing this. They keep putting together these overly produced documentaries to try to change history and try to change the narrative. And I think people are starting to get annoyed with it. At least that's my impression. Sonia, thanks. But yeah, Sonia, please send me that link. Betty White, Resurrected. The book is amazing. So good. Thank you. Read the book in under 4 hours. Yeah, it's a pretty light read. And I think it's a positive adventure story. I hope so. But anyways. Okay, I got to run. It's getting late. I got a big meeting in 13 minutes from now. So I love you all, and I will talk to you